And here we are with the Bishop Auckland boys. How we doing, boys? What's going on? Exciting news ahead.
Hold
We've
on,
got
thank you, mate. Thanks for having us.
Mr. Party Hardy himself, the new Cage Warriors man, Davey Grant back in action again, and the young buck upcoming. How we doing? Where should we start? Mr. Hardy, how you feeling about Cage Warriors?
Mate, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. I just can't wait to just get it all going and just get going.
Oh, it'll be absolutely incredible again. Like, it's just so perfect. And you're not on for this trilogy, are you? On the next one, aren't you? Well, the plan is to be.
It'll be the one after. Yeah, we'll be on the one after.
I mean, this is it as well, because going down to 135 as well. Got so much talent there as well, like the Adam Wilsons, Wes Myers, these boys, and Michelle Montenegro as well. I think Alex Montenegro and Martin Michelone get names mixed up. Considerably different people.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be a commentator with some of them names. Like, but yeah, it's like I say, the division's massive. So to even be offered a 5-fight deal with a division like that is class, and I'm looking forward to putting myself at the top and testing myself with everyone.
Now, where it gets interesting is the size of the platform changes, but does your training change? Like, again, you've already got to the dance in itself from what you've already put in. Would you keep things the same way? Would you try and take things a step further?
To be fair, when it's come to my fight camps, I think I've always pushed myself anyway, just because I'm that type of person. I want to know that I'm stepping in that cage best prepared possible. I think it helps even more, like you say, with Davey being an active fighter who's my coach as well. The fact that he's like sort of setting standards, which is UFC standard, and I think it does give you that little extra push just to push that further. So I'm in the best place possible to prepare for Cage Warriors. Like,
I mean, this is the thing in itself. You get that sort of genuine confidence because people always talk themselves up, I train harder than anyone else, this, that, and everything. I mean, I think everyone said that so often. I'm not sure who actually is the one training harder than anyone else, but that's another conversation. But again, you can't bullshit yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And like, especially with signing with someone like Cage Warriors, you're not getting an easy fight. So I know like styles and stuff like that, but for me, I'll be flat out every single fight camp, and even out of fight camp, I like to keep active. I like to still get in the gym twice a day. So nothing will be changing for me apart from when I'm in fight camp, just that extra bit of fitness and like the likes of sparring and stuff like that. Whereas out of camp, still keep top fitness, but just working on more things and stuff like that. So it's just the slight changes that will be made, and that's it.
I mean, that's a huge thing in itself. And what you're saying there is sort of weight management side, again, being a full-time athlete, full-time fighter, but also, needing not to peak and sort of crash at the same sort of times and stuff, make sure you're managing that side of things. Now, when it comes to game planning and sort of, I don't know, stylizing certain things, are you one to focus on your opponent's styles, their weaknesses, their strengths, or more what you want to build? Is that an ongoing thing? Is it very opponent specific? What's that sort of process like?
I think obviously you do look at the opponent, you look at what style they are. Then let's say if there's a stand-up fighter, you sort of like select whereabouts the best up with the stand-up or with the ground, what they look for on the ground. But I think it's important to also like work on what you want to work on, not work so much on their weakness. Because if you work on so much of their weakness, you're not actually improving anything yourself. Like, they're going to be worrying about you. Let them worry about what you're going to do. Do you know what I mean? You go out there and do what you want to do, not what they want to do. So I think it's important to obviously understand, he's sort of going to look for this, he's sort of going to look for that, but work on what you want to do as well.
That's a huge thing in itself, because again, if you nullify his strength as such, you necessarily haven't built your game in itself. You just neutralize it, completely like kill the fight off. It's a bit, all right, nice one.
Yeah.
You ran away for all this sort of fight.
Exactly. So. I think it's important to not step away from what you like doing. I think you've got to focus on what you like to do, and then, like you say, just keep in mind what they're going to look to do as well, and just have a few things to work against that.
And when it comes to the general awareness of the fight itself, any kind of anxieties that come along with that, how are you managing that sort of thing? Because every now and then, think of taking a rest day, but then you've got a fight coming up. Can you really take it? Do you need the rest? Will it benefit you more, this, that, and the other? How are you with dealing with the build-up kind of anxieties?
I think because I've had 2 years out now. I think that put a little bit. I am putting a little bit more pressure on myself than to what, because like you say, 2 years ago, I think I had like 6 fights in like 18 months or something like that. It was, or 7 fights in 18 months, something like that. It was quite active, and I do think that made it a little bit easier for myself. So just coming back in, especially you say this first fight back, I will be pushing it as much as I can, but I do always keep in mind with the rest day and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I've learned to listen to my body, and I think that is important. That if you feel like you need a rest, just take it.
I think it's just like how you train as well. Like, you can train like
train smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Training smart, and
you don't want to go like 100% every time. You're just gonna kill yourself.
If there's anyone to learn that from, it's definitely Davey. So we're in the best position for that.
Yeah.
I mean, this comes with confidence in itself, because again, it's very easy when you're in that sort of world of shit, I've got to fight, I can't take any time off. You don't realize what that's going to sort of give you back. And the fact the youngest of the group is the one who highlights, you know, I need to rest sometimes. I mean, that's a level of maturity as well, a sort of bigger picture sort of thing. Because again, it's always the young bucks are always in non-stop hurting themselves and each other, just pushing it too much. Now, regardless of like training smart and stuff, I can't help but feel we need the right training partners to get that really sort of done in itself. Are you one for saying, okay, let's have a technical session? It's not a light session, that's technical. It's very different to fighter words. Like, are you sort of for like more so the timetable, for example? Is like a general team sort of structure? Okay, we train hard this morning and lighter in the evening, this, that, and the other. Or is it just every session's the same and you work out independently?
I mean, to be fair, it swaps and changes, you know, and like you can have both sessions for different people in one session, you know. So if one person comes in and then they let me know, say, oh look, a bit tired today, right? Okay, you leave out the live stuff at the end, and you can just go technical. You know, it's totally individual, depending on how people feel that day, how close they are to a fight. Anything what you need, you know. It's like not exactly set, or everyone's doing a technical session today, because that might not be what everyone needs that day, but you can I'll let them drop in and drop out on whatever's best for like their own like sort of productivity.
I mean, that in itself is a very perfect sort of answer with that. Then it's what you can get from the training yourself. Again, the session is there anyway, and then it's your own input as to what you get out of it. You make it hard if you want to make it hard, or want to get more out of it, it's up to you. Very sort of, I don't know, you have to take your own sort of responsibility, sort of ownership of it a bit more. But now with your like fight prep, comp prep, is it a sort of a round year-round thing in a sense of that sort of, you always have a certain days you do competition classes like sparring and stuff, or is it like only in fight camps?
Yeah, I mean, no, we like I've set days for the sparring and stuff. I don't like people sparring too hard when they haven't got a fight coming up. I just think it's just sort of damage for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Up the sparring to like one good hard spar a week, coming up to the fight, maybe the last 8 weeks or so, depending on who it is. And I feel like that's about enough, and everything else will just sort of get scheduled around it. I just try and make sure that every week you're getting enough of everything in, enough of the wrestling, enough of the striking, enough jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? And then putting your conditioning on with that, and just like sort of, once you've been doing it for as long as I have, you just learn to listen to your body, and you can see, I can tell when people have done too much that day or that week, and I know how to monitor it and make sure that we sort of stay away from injuries is the main thing, and then like overtraining.
Now, as the thing you sort of said there a little bit was quite interesting, was obviously the years you put in, you only need that sort of one hard spar, and the rest of it you can sort of work about, because again, you've really got the sharpness already accrued over time. But do you not feel sort of play devil's advocate, the beginners would need that sort of to learn that lesson a little bit themselves, to sort of appreciate what that means, opposed to sort of just, okay, I think I'm sharp enough only doing this one spar a week, you see what I mean?
I mean, I suppose it's just totally on the individual. You know, it's like look at Max Holloway. Yeah, I mean, like Max Holloway, like
he didn't. I'm still.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I didn't spar much for my last fight, to be honest. I got injured on my first spar. Sprained my thumb and then got cut. So I didn't hardly spar at all for like, I only got a 4-week camp anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I had my first spar when I fell down the fight, and then didn't spar. It doesn't really bother me. I think everyone's a little bit different. Some people probably need it. I think it's more of just a confidence thing. Just like knowing in your head, oh, I've had a hard spar there, so I know I'm still sharp. You know, it's like anything. It's most of it in fighting. Everyone knows how to prepare for a fight, and it's not about, oh, you never get anyone coming out of a fight saying, oh, I never did enough sparring, oh, I never did enough wrestling for that fight, oh, I never did enough jiu-jitsu. It's always, oh, my head wasn't right, and that, you know, that's all. The only thing you've got to put right. Doesn't matter what you do before in that fight camp. as long as you go and put it right for 3 5s in there. I mean, there's no correlation. I can have the best camp or the worst camp, and then if I don't put it on the night, then the fight doesn't go well. It's not really about how much sparring you put in or how much training you put in. It's just about how you turn up on the night and make sure you perform for them 3 rounds.
Is there anything you do in particular to make sure that sort of conversion happens from what you can do versus what you do show? Is it a lot of like in-house kind of on these hard spar days, like a fight simulation sort of thing? Is it like anything backstage, sort of, I don't know, keep you composed? Is there anything you sort of found useful?
Yeah, I mean, well, we do like you say, fight simulation rounds. You know, like I'll get the guys warming up out the back. They're not allowed to train with the guy who they're going to spar, even though they've sparred loads of rounds together because they're teammates. Yeah, and then they both go in the cage, walkout music, everything. Someone's cornering one, I'll be cornering the other. Ref in there, and we make it like as real as we can from being still in the gym to sort of get that sort of like that feeling, that fight feeling. And again, it just comes down to the individual, what that person needs. Every fight is totally different. The way you talk to them in the change rooms, the way they talk to them in the fight, the way coach them in training and in the sparring rounds. It's so individual.
How have you found the sort of corner side of that sort of thing in itself? Have you found a sort of universal way of trying to less is more? Is it case by case? Like, what do you tend to prioritize in the corner when it comes to advice?
Again, just totally individual. It just depends who it is. Some people need calming down. Some people need a rocket up their ass. Do you know what I mean? It just totally depends on that person. And sometimes, especially when it's the first fight, no matter what they're like in the gym, that might not be what they're like in the fight. It's a lot of the time you've got a good read and a good like sort of estimation of what they're going to be like in the fight. But a lot, you never know. Some people can be absolute killers in the gym and then just can't turn it on in a fight. And some people are the other way around. You think they're going to be shit in the fight and then turn out to be an absolute killer. You know what I mean?
It's absolutely come out of nowhere. Yeah. So this is one of those ones in itself to sort of appreciate that side of it. And again, where do you fall in that category? Do you need to rock up your ass or you need to calm down a little bit?
No, I mean, I don't know. I seem to just try and find that right psyche level. Do you know what I mean? Still learning. Still learning that. But I'm a pretty hyperactive guy anyway at the best of times. Do you know what I mean? But I'm pretty experienced with it now. So I just try and get that right level of psyche. I've been too psyched and I've been under psyched. I'm still just trying to teeter off in the middle.
Where are you at with that, Luke? I finding your sort of gauge of excitement for competing. You managed to keep quite composed, need a sort of a kick up the arse. You more, I don't know, how do you find competing?
Yeah, I don't know really. I feel like when I'm like walking out, you get like you're focused and that, but once I'm in the cage, I'm just sound. I just let it flow.
He's one of the most relaxed fighters I've ever coached. Honestly,
one of those guys.
But he turns it on. You know, but I never need put the remote or this or that. He knows what I'm there. I've got confidence in him. He's got confidence in me. And I know he's going to go in and do his job. And he goes in, cool, calm, collected, follows the game plan. He's fantastic for that.
A lot of people, like, when they're in the cage, you know, it feels like you can't hear stuff and that, and you can't hear the corner man. Well, I can always hear Davey.
Yeah,
you make sure of it.
Yeah, good connection. Yeah.
What about you, Cam? How are you with that?
I can hear it.
I think I come like I am quite chilled. In my head, I'm like, right, I'm gonna kill him. But like as I'm walking out, I'm chilled. I'm not like shouting, screaming about. But in my head, I'm like, right, let's fucking go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm almost like when I'm walking out, I'm just like, come on, let's get that cage door shut and let's get out of here.
Yeah, you need that bit of fight, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Fighting at the end of the day, you know, like it can be as technical as you want. Do you know what I mean? But you've still got to have that dog in you. You know, it's a fight. You know, if you look at like I think the perfect examples like Mike Bisping. Do you know what I mean? Where Mike Bisping is like, he was maybe not ever the most technical of guys, do you know what I mean? But he used to just grind on it. He was in there to fight. He was always in the fight, and he just used to grind out the wins with everyone. And he was like, it was hellish to watch. And then you could hit him with anything, and he wouldn't stop him. He'd still be looking for the win, still be looking for the win, still be looking for the kill.
Well, it's the whole thing, but it's not who's best, it's who's left. It's who's still putting that sort of work and that consistency. Again, like, I think everyone was so happy when he knocked out Rockhold. And it's that kind of like, I don't know. It's more than just at that moment. It's all the build up, it's everything else. It's him sleeping in his car and everything else. It's all that sort of commitment to it. But no, being a fighter through and through himself, it's good to have that sort of balance though. Because again, like you'd imagine coming up in the current era, like social media, what sort of pressures you've sort of added on top of the fighting pressure itself, to then still be composed and then switch off when you need to. It's absolutely spot on. Now,
Definitely.
when it comes to sort of coaching, obviously other guys, they see where you guys are and where your careers are going. How's it keeping them, I don't know, on the sort of straight and narrow to appreciate it takes a while to get to where you guys are? Because again, they'd almost feel obligated to rush as such, because you say, I want to catch up. But how do you find, I don't know, letting people know it's possible, but, invest that time still?
I think people in the gym, I think especially with us three as well, they realise how much we do grind, how much effort we are putting in. Like every time they walk through the door, we're here. One of the first to come in, one of the last to leave. I think that's a massive part of it as well. And I do like to think that we do set a good example to everyone else. Like, look, we haven't just come skipping into the gym, hit a few pads, and we are where we are. They do know that we've come in and we've grafted hard for it, and we're in every day, week in, week out, fight or not, we're in. So I think people do, like, especially the lads who train here, they do know what they need to do to achieve what we've achieved.
You see the difference. You see the difference out the lads who's in all the time to the lads who can come and go. It's a massive difference on the people, like the way that they progress. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no cheating hard work. You just got to get in, put your time in, and then that's how you get better. There's no magic to it. It's just getting in, doing the work.
It's like if we miss 1 week of training, and like we won't go over that because we do so much. We won't go over that for like maybe another year.
It's like that because the MMA spectrum's so broad. Do you know what I mean? There's that much to learn. So say we're working on one position or one certain sweep from that position, say, then we'll work that all week, maybe for a couple of weeks. And then, so if they miss that couple of weeks, we won't hit that again until like, I don't know, it might sometimes it's about a year and then, until I'll recycle the same sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Where it'll all sort of be in there with the fundamentals and things like that. But then it's so easy to miss things. You know what I mean? So you've got to begin. You've got to put the time in. And just because even if you've learned something for 2 weeks, it doesn't just sit then. You know what I mean? It might be the next year when you go over it again that it sits a little bit better, and then the year after that, then it'll sit a little bit better till it's sound then. And like even now, when someone teaches you a technique, you'll remember most of it. You might forget one tiny little detail, what makes it so much more effective, but you'll pick that up the next time. So that's a year down the line, and then this certain technique, what you might not have even thought fit in your game, now fits in your game, and it could be like it's a game changer.
I mean, there's so much in that sort of go into. Where do we even start?
Yeah.
When it comes to like, where do we even go with that? When it comes to your teaching in itself versus how you learn, is it sort of action reaction, just keep on going, what ifs? Is it general positional movement sort of stuff? What's your criteria like, and how do you like to teach that?
I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of isolation rounds, like I'm not massive on just like, right, strict, this is the technique and this is exactly how you do it. I like to tell everyone, look, MMA, it might go like that. See, I don't know, let's look at the perfect way to pull an armbar off. I've never ever pulled an armbar off in that perfect way. So you stick with the concepts of it, and the fundamentals, and then everything else sort of comes with it. There's the way I like to explain it is MMA is not black and white. It's not do this, do that. He does this, you do that. It doesn't work like that. There's loads of grey areas in between. Do you know what I mean? But you stick to the fundamentals, stick to the basics, and then you work your techniques off that. And you've got to be ready for them to change, ready to change what you're doing. Everyone's going to do something different strengths, different attributes, and stick to the concept of it. And then, like I say, like just the fundamentals, and then everything else will come from that.
I think that's what makes Davey Grant as well. Is like he's not like, right, it's this way, my way, that's it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He can show one technique a few different ways to which best suits you. Or like you can pull Davey over with a problem and he'd be like, no, you know what? Try this, try that. So like he says, not everyone's the same, and you shouldn't try and make all your fighters the exact same fighter. Yeah. Like the way us three, me and Davey are a bit similar in the way we fight, but Luke's completely different to the way me and Davey fight. Yeah. So it's no good if he's just teaching one technique in the gym that might best suit me and him, but doesn't best suit Luke, because then Luke's not going to improve.
Yeah.
So it works out that way, doesn't it?
Like I've got the 100% confidence in not only the structure that I'm teaching, but the structure I've got of these guys. If it's something what Cam does, then I'll say, right, Cam, you show this to the class. You know what I mean? I'm not the be all and end all of everything. I wish I did know everything, and I'm nowhere near that. I still feel like I'm scratching the surface of MMA myself. And like there's things what Luke do. Luke could do some stuff off his back, but I can't even do. Do you know what I mean? And then if he can go and show that to the class, I'll get him to show it because he can do it better than me. Do you know what I mean? So I bring everyone in, and everyone's got their own things, and it might not suit everyone, but you can take stuff away from it. So it's like it's a full team effort. It's not just all right. I say this, and we all do this. It's not like that at all. It's like we all get the best of each other, and then take out what we need from it. And that's what I feel is like the best sort of learning environment.
Oh, 100%. And again, when it comes to that sort of confidence in knowing that, one, you don't know something, to say you don't know it instead of just trying to say, I'm the coach, I've got to work it out. And on top of that, it's more just understanding it more than regurgitating it. It's a very different thing because a lot of people, they see a technique on Instagram, they'll repeat it word for word, then just think they can do it. But when it's not as black and white and not that sort of like, nice situation, like you're saying, a bit messy, you kind of, then what? And it's the concepts will keep you in good stead. Have I still got this or not? Your sort of like safe zones and margins for error and stuff like that. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's it. It's about percentages, isn't it? It's like something might look brilliant, and you try it on an unresisting opponent. Yeah, fucking hell, look at that. Fucking jump and spin an armbar, mint. But like, what's the percentage of it? How many times does that work? I tend to work more on percentages of how I'm getting things off in live rounds, and that's how good that technique is, rather than how good it looks doing it on someone who's not even trying to resist.
See, but in the same breath, though, if you have a technique you've never tried before, you wouldn't be able to apply it to the same level of accuracy to make it work in the first place, unless the opponent wasn't resisting. You sort of build up and so on and so forth.
Those rounds, in it. That's exactly it. So you got to learn and you got to adapt. Do you know what I mean? So it's like just because you've learned the technique, that if you've just learned the technique, there's like I say that the person who you're doing it to, there's going to be 500 different things what they can do to resist that technique. And then you find out what works for you. Learning is like I say with isolation rounds. So we'll learn the technique, or a few little variations of the technique, and then your opponent will have an isolation round. So if I'm drilling with one of the guys, then they'll improve their resistance to the technique as the round goes on. So say again, we'll just work on a sweep. So I'll get the sweep the first time, then we go back to the same position through the round, and then the next time they'll try a few different things to stop me, but still let me get me in the end. And then by the end of the round, we're sort of getting up to 80-90%. And we work out all the little like sort of wormholes you can go down with it. What works better? Oh, how are you trying to resist that? And then if you've got any questions, look, this wasn't working, right? Okay, well, let's try this, try that. Let's see what works best. It's just you've just got to find out what works. You know what I mean?
Well, 100%. And again, it's getting that sort of, it's trial and error. What do I do? What happens if I do that? Oh, that's what.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
And keep
million possibilities.
Yeah. It's one of these ones. So it's really interesting. And like on top of this in itself, there's a few things with building these curriculums, also having the numbers to do it with. And obviously the new climate is only professional athletes. And again, you've got bubbles and everything else, but it's a lot leaner now. Like how are you finding reduced number training? Are you finding it more efficient as such? Are you missing the atmosphere more? How does that sort of, parallel?
I mean, when I've got a fight coming up, I don't mind. I'm so focused. It's great to have the guys in to train with. You know what I mean? But if I wanted to, I could train on my own. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I've got to do. It's not as good for the people, obviously, who are not in the training bubble. Do you know what I mean? But that's just the way the world is at the minute. Luckily, I've got some good guys around us. We've got some great training partners, some great coaches, and we all doing adamant work to get to the fight.
Well, again, this is it's a very interesting point where it's the current situation where your head would be anyway, and that sort of reflection, also understanding this is the current world as it is not sort of going to obscure us so much. It's more so the quality in working with smaller numbers and the need to sort of mix up the variety. Because again, say you spar with Luke for 5 rounds 3 times a week, you think, okay, Monday be like Wednesday, Wednesday might be a bit like Friday, and so on and so forth. Whereas if everyone, you can't quite pick up those habits as quickly. So again, get these numbers makes that sort of training a lot more. I don't know, you can get more out of individual percentages. I don't know, you sort of get the gist of that sort of thing. Where the numbers is different options to sort of go with, but it was more so. There's a few things I was going to go with this. It was more having the same training partners to change the amount of ways you could do things, or is it to get more training partners to practice things you can already do? That was the way I was trying to think about it.
Yeah, again, it's just it's sort of like mixing it up. Do you know what I mean? I think the main thing is you got guys around you, especially for my stage in my career, a little bit different to these two, and I like to stay around guys who I trust. I mean, my main job now is just getting the fights healthy. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm not really gonna change much of my game. I fight how I fight. I want to be good at what I do. So I like to stay with people who I trust. With the thing about being in the UFC is it's like it can be a bit of a target on your back sometimes. You know, if you go to new gyms, people not being dickheads about it, but they want to test themselves because that's where they want to be. Do you know what I mean? So they're like fucking trying their best with their A game. Do you know what I mean? Which is understandable. But when you're with guys you trust, they're not worried. You know, they're not there to try and prove themselves against you. They're there to try and get better themselves, and then they're to try and help you. So I like to train with people I trust. But every now and again, it's nice to get people in who you've never sparred with before. You know, when you have to work someone out on the spot, that's what a fight like. So again, it's just everything. You need all sort of need to cover all bases with it. I feel.
I think that's a good thing about SBG as well.
Yeah.
With the affiliation, everyone's close. Everyone's happy to help, whether they're a different gym or not. It's not like you're going to a complete different gym. Like first time I went to South Shield, I didn't feel like I didn't have the normal nerves as what I would going to a complete different gym because it's SBG. Like it makes you feel relaxed straight away. And because SBG is a top affiliation as it is, you're getting the top guys anyway, and it's like a little family anyway.
Yeah,
so
the network's brilliant.
That UFC target on his head isn't as bad as what it would be going to a complete new gym. Do you know what I mean? So that's where SBG comes in, like very helpful.
Yeah,
just like you say, like South Shields, Manchester. That's more than enough. More than enough.
With your mate Jack Cartwright,
training partner.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, going to Manchester and South Shields, you've got some top guys there to go and train with, but we're friends with them, all fighting under the same banner. You know what I mean? No one's there like trying to prove themselves, trying to knock you out. You know, just so they get the kudos off it. You know what I mean? It's literally all there to help out, and then obviously the coaching network as well. Some of the best coaches in England, and we've got them on tap like that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Again, that sort of resource is so invaluable. Like I say in there, Jack Cartwright, you get Saul Rogers again. They're all the names we'll be here all day naming them. But interesting enough, you're sort of touching a few things here that obviously yourself and Cam are going to be quite active. But Luke, what's the plan with you at the minute then? Because again, AMI shows and grappling comps don't to be about too much. What's the next sort of priority for you?
Yeah, as soon as everything gets back to normal, that's like the big thing, isn't it? But as soon as it does, I just want to get as many fights as I possibly can. Try and get as many belts under me as belt, like, and then obviously grappling competitions as well. That's just like, it's not really a fight, but it's more like fun, isn't it? You just do one in a grappling competition. That's what I like most about them. Obviously, fight is a bit more pressure in that. But yeah, I just want to get as many fights as I can as soon as it gets back to normal.
Now, when you have grappling, sorry, mate, as you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt, a bit of a delay.
What was that?
So like, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's a bit of a delay. It's a bit of a thing in the way, but.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all right. I finished anyway.
Yeah, when it comes to like grappling comps and like sub-only matches, that sort of thing in itself, do you just sort of, you're training for an MMA fight, that's something that's on, I'll just do it without any sort of further thought? Is it like, okay, a bit of preparation for that specifically? Do you give it much direct attention, or is it more like a byproduct from normal training?
Obviously, I will prepare for it and that. Like, obviously, it's a competition, in it. It's competition, but I just go in there and do what just have fun really with that.
Just collects golds. He just collects golds.
I was going to say, he's very nonchalant about it. Annoying.
He doesn't need to prep at all. He's just being nice. He's just being nice. It's just another day.
He's too modest.
Yeah, he's a fucking ninja on the floor, mate. Honest. Yeah, big things coming.
Well, what was impressing me with a lot of your fights, Luke, is sort of urgency as well. Because again, not everyone's got the same kind of, again, not fire on their ass as such. Again, when you're in a position, you get the fuck back up. You put something straight away. You're not hanging about. You see a lot of people enjoy playing guard too much. They play guard. You don't play MMA. You just sit there and just, make guard for yourself. But no, that's sort of, because again, going from relaxed and chilled out to then being, switched on. How do you find that? What was that?
Obviously, being in guard in MMA is like, people don't really look at it as much as you want to get up or you want to sweep, but it's like I want to make it as dangerous as possible. Someone being in my guard. And then obviously I've got wrestling and striking as well. In my fights, I feel like I haven't showed my striking as much as like people as I can, and that's what I want to get across in my next few fights. Obviously, I've got striking, and I want to show that as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, when people come to my guard, I don't want them just to feel like they can settle there.
Yeah, you feel like you defend. Yes. When you're on top of Luke, it doesn't matter what position you get in, you're still defending.
Could be a man when you think you're defending.
It's great style.
I mean, with that in itself, it's an interesting sort of premise that when you've got to compete, you put your A game forward. And if your A game is mainly grappling, but you want to get more striking in, what's the plan then? Is a priority winning or priority getting experience? I mean, at this sort of stage, I'd argue it's experience. But again, if you want to build a confident winning streak and something you know already works, it's then sort of seeing how far ahead you want to take that. Like, how do you find, sticking to what you're currently succeeding in versus trying new things when, under competition lights?
Obviously, when I'm training, I know I can strike and I know I can wrestle and I know I can do my jiu-jitsu. So in a fight, I'm not really bothered where it goes. I'm not really bothered where it goes in the fight.
I think that's important about keeping active outside your fight camp is to work on all that kind of stuff. So when it does come to your fight camp, you can add that bit in, and like you say, like, you're not always going to fight the same style fighter, so you're gonna have to work on these other things.
That's the best time to train, really.
Exactly,
when you don't have a fight coming up.
Like you can go into a role outside a fight camp and think, right, yeah, I got tapped, but I tried this and this, or I got this sweep. Whereas if someone tapped you 4 weeks out from a fight, it's going to play on your head. You're going to be like, shit, you shouldn't have got me there. Whereas I think it's important outside of fight camp to get them types of roles in and to work on your weaknesses, and to even even go in sparring and think, you know what, I'm just going to work on defense here. You might get punched all over, but a couple of things might work for you. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you were doing that in a fight round 4 weeks out from your fight, your head's going to be battered for the rest of the week.
Yeah, such a tricky one as well, to be able to, again, think that far ahead in that sense, but also appreciate it that much. And again, the confidence side of that as well. I mean, how are you guys when it comes to sparring in a fight camp nearing the end as well? Because you were saying about the hard sparring once a week, but again, the risk of getting caught and confidence getting knocked, is that even on the radar at all? Or is it just trying to plow through it regardless?
I mean, yeah, it's always going to be a risk, isn't it? Like I say, keeping people around you trust, and keep them sensible. Even when we're doing fight rounds, like if I don't know, say you've just landed a nice body shot on someone, the hands come down, I'm just about to wing a big left high kick in, do you know what I mean? And I see it going to land on them, I'll pull it. It's a training partner. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's as long as you're sensible, not doing not daft things. Do you know what I mean? So even the hard fight round, the full pelt, it's not like to injure. It's not just to improve. Do you know what I mean?
Didn't want me to do it.
I was going to say, yeah, there we go. Not on camera, Luke, not on camera. But yeah, a bit of consideration. Again, you sort of build that sort of rapport up. You understand where the sort of like unwritten rules are aside. Like, yeah, legs, it's fair game, but, be a bit respectful when it comes to, above the sort of neckline and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of like sort of staple questions to ask everyone. We'll sort of see what your sort of answers are to these sort of things. So one at a time, no particular order. Advice to a day one beginner. First one walks in the gym, trial session in MMA class. Advice you give to someone just starting MMA.
Yeah, well, so I mean, first of all, I think you need to be making sure, just sort of get your head down, get involved, make sure that you're a gym where you feel comfortable. I think that's the main thing. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to sort of, I don't know the phrase, Rome wasn't built in a day. Never more true than when it comes to fighting. Do you know what I mean? Especially with MMA, there's just that much to learn. Just get your head down and just keep working hard.
What about you, Luke?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think like they shouldn't be coming in doing a week's training and then thinking, you know what, I'm ready for a belt again. I think there's a lot of people who seem to think that, that they're just going to come in, they're going to hit a few pads, and then that's it. They're the hardest man here.
You get them. They're like, oh, so they've done one session. So how long do you think I can fight? It's like, I don't know, man. I'm saying I haven't watched you really. You know what I mean? It's your first session, you know, like give it a few months and then we'll see how you're progressing, you know what I mean? And then we'll talk about it. It's not like, oh, right, there's this set. Like I say, it's all individual. It's not like, oh, right, you're going to be ready for a fight in 8 months. You're going to be ready for a fight in a year. It doesn't work like that. You just keep on just plodding away. And then when we think you're ready, we'll have a talk about it and then maybe look to start getting you matched up. But first, just get your head down, get on it.
Just enjoy it, but be keen, be willing to learn.
Yeah.
And be willing to like Luke, he'll tap out 90-kilo guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Be willing to like get past that stage of like, right, I've been tapped. Like, do you know? Because I think there's a couple of guys who come in and maybe's been on the juice or something like that, and then you've got Luke pulling their arm off in an arm bar. Do you know what I mean? It soon knocks them down them few pegs. And it's just like you say, willing to learn and be like, yeah, good arm bar. Get rid of your ego. Just get rid of the ego.
Yeah,
come in and learn.
Just be coachable. Just be coachable. Enjoy it and just do extra. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not much more you can want from people. You know, like good attitude. I think attitude's massive. Do you know what I mean? I hate to see like sort of stress in the gym, or a lot of people, even for the people who don't want to fight. This is just some people's sort of therapy, just a relief from normal life. Do you know what I mean? So just come, just enjoy it. And not everyone has to take it seriously. I don't force anyone to fight, and I don't force anyone to fight like a fighter. I just want you just put the graft in and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Everyone just wants to have a good experience. That's the main thing about going to a gym.
That's something certainly so important. Again, especially with lockdown and everything else, to appreciate that gym being there, appreciate everyone being there in itself. Again, like it's all taken away from everyone's miserable. Look, it comes back for a small like period of time, and everyone's like, oh, they don't give a shit. Why didn't you appreciate how much you missed it in the first place? That's unreal. But again, that's so spot on. But just embracing what it is. But that takes me nicely to the next question, which is, what's your reference point for someone being able to ready for a fight, for a debut? Do you have your own personal sort of sign off from it? Is it like a sort of tick sheet, like how many rounds have I seen them done? Is it X, Y, and Z? Like how do you find, just rule of thumb sort of?
I mean, first of all, it would have to be just sort of like competence. Do you know what I mean? Do they know what they're doing in every single position? It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't need to be reminded about, I don't know, looking for underhooks or how to defend a jab or how to check a kick. Do you know what I mean? So it's just competence in attack, defense, and then I'll just base it on what they feel like as well. It's a two-way street. I feel coaching. It's not just like, all right, you're ready for a fight now. It's like, oh, do you fancy fighting? Yeah, or you think you'll be all right? Do you want to do some like sparring rounds? Maybe a little bit harder. See how they take to it. It's again, it's not. There's no just like set criteria. Oh, right, that's it. You can do this now. You're ready for a fight. Do you know what I mean? It's more like how comfortable they are. What's their goals? Because some people like their goal might just be to have like a decent few fights, or maybe one fight, or just want to experience it. Do you know what I mean? So, are they wanting to go pro? You know what I mean? Are they wanting to just have a few fights, maybe coming in their late 30s, want to just do a bit of training and have an amateur fight just for the experience? It's totally individual.
I mean, that's so spot on in itself, because again, it's not necessarily what they know, it's how they can sort of do it under pressure, which is real what the fight is in itself. Because again, like you can show most beginners the same sort of curriculum, they'll regurgitate it to you in like, a couple of weeks, and then what? You can stick them in a cage after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's it.
And again, there's so much in that in itself. Now, regards of sort of personal development and sort of assessment, like what was a weakness in your game you changed, and how did you change it? Like, how did you go about changing it in itself? Like planning it, who do you speak to, that sort of stuff?
Is that to just everyone?
Everyone, we'll go with you, Davey, first.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like if you notice anything like that, then you just put a bit more work in it. Like I say, we just try and cover everything. I'm just trying to cover everything all week. And if I feel like I've got a weakness, and maybe it's like, I don't know, say, I'm being on my back, I'm not very good at, like, I don't know, some like sweeps, do you know what I mean? Then in rolling rounds, I might be with someone who does top control. But then I'll just give them the sweep, unknowingly get myself to my back, get myself in a position where I want to work a certain type of sweep. So it's about, again, what Cam was on about before, just having no ego. Do you know what I mean? Or what do I think? Oh, maybe my sub-defense wasn't too good. I put myself deep in a triangle. Do I get tapped? I might get tapped by someone who's nowhere near my level, and then it doesn't matter, it's training. You know what I mean? And then I'll put myself in again. I might get tapped again until I start, now I start working this escape, and then you start to get a bit better at it. It's just about leaving your ego at the door and, sort of putting yourself in those bad situations, especially not just in like the isolation rounds we're on about, but in live rounds where the risk is, you're going to get tapped, but no one gives a fuck. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think if you're worried about getting tapped in training, you're doing it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you should never be worried about anything like that. You know, like you see people going, oh, gutted because they got tapped. It's like, fucking hell, it's just training. It's just, who cares? Do you know what I mean? This is all part of learning. It's all part of the process of getting better.
Oh, definitely. Again, it's go on.
John Tanner said about George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
George St. Pierre, he was like, if you followed him round for a full year, you'd think he was like, he wasn't the best, because he's going with the best of boxers doing boxing. He's going to the best of wrestlers wrestling. And he's just putting himself, or like, he'll go with a jiu-jitsu guy, roll and go straight on his back when he starts rolling, just to constantly test himself. So like you say, you've got to get that ego out, and you've just got to put yourself in the worst position possible to get the best outcome. And I think it helps with like being like training with fighters as well, because then like say Davey, like say you can come against someone who's a good wrestler, so you work on your wrestling defense. Do you know what I mean? But then like outside the camp, at the end of the day, it's MMA. Yes, like say I might be more known for a striker, but outside the camp, you've got to work on your weaknesses. Don't just go and hit the pads and bag because you enjoy it. If you want to compete and you want to get far, you need to put yourself in the worst place possible to get the best outcome.
Yeah, you could be the best striker in the world, and then you might come up against someone better. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's what it is. You got to have your plan B and your plan C. You know, it's you've got to literally work on everything. You know, but home in on the things what you're good at. I like to sort of make sure that in a fight, I'm going in with my A game. I like to try and get them to worry about me. Do you know what I mean? I'm prepared for anything, but I want their game plan to be more around me. I feel like I'm all round, like, good enough wherever the fight goes, that they need to worry about me, and I'll handle whatever they've got.
I mean, this is kind of the thing in itself. Again, you can only really worry about you, because again, if someone pulls out, then what? All your camp's been so orientated around one person who's not there anymore. I mean, it's
exactly, yeah, and it happens, doesn't it? So often.
Far too much. And last one, what is the smallest change you've made to something either in your mindset, routine, in your game that's made the biggest difference? I'll start with you, Luke.
Can you come back now?
Yeah, we'll go on, Cam.
So mine, I'll go on this one, because mine was, I think I mentioned it earlier on actually, but there's absolutely no correlation about what happens in the fight camp to what happens in the fight. I've had some of the best fight camps and they're not as good a performance, and then I've had some of the worst fight camps and the best performance. It's literally now, I don't worry about anything. It's just a pure uncontrollable. I know that I'll do my best to prepare myself for that fight each and every time. So as long as I'm going in with that confidence that I've done that, and I haven't skipped sessions for the sake of it or anything like that, I know that I've done everything right, then I just need to turn it on for them few fives, whether I've been injured for the last 8 weeks or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that is a massive thing. You've just got to go in there and turn it on for those 3 fives. It doesn't matter what's happened before.
100%.
For me, it'd be like the like say if you've been caught in sparring by maybe someone who you shouldn't have been caught by, or rolling with someone and you've been tapped or something. I can beat myself up for a whole week, and it can affect a couple of training sessions because my attitude's shit. It's just be like, right, you know what? You've been tapped, go and work on that next time. Do you know what I mean? And like, I can drive home and I'll just be, there'll be no music on an hour, and I'll
cry a little bit, rolling down your face.
I can't roll like that, sick as fuck. But I think it's just like you say, because for me it's not an ego. It's just because I want to be the best that I can possibly be. So when something like that happens, you do beat yourself up a bit too much, and I'm just, when I go back, I just try not. I go home, have a little word with myself, and then go and have a good training session the next time.
Definitely.
Mine's the same as Cam, really. Like I used to be like, I could be too competitive, and if I'm in sparring, I get caught with something, get caught like that in sparring, and I'd just go home, I'd be laid in bed, and I'd just think about it and that, and I'd just go home, be able to get to sleep or nothing.
Yeah, so it's the mind of a fighter, isn't it? It's that competitiveness. It's that competitiveness. You know what I mean? You'll never lose it, but you learn to moderate it.
I adapted it better now. I can just let it pass. And
that's it.
I've learned from that now.
Yeah, use it for benefit. That's the best thing.
Well, this is sort of the thing in itself. They're very ambiguous sort of lines between like these things, like your own development, like how much is too competitive, that sort of thing. And again, you've got to find your kind of own reference points for that. Now,
Yeah,
most important question, boys, where can people find you on their social media?
What was that?
Social media.
What about social media?
Your social medias.
So
sorry.
Mine's Cameron RKH on Instagram and Twitter.
At Davey Grant MMA, I think.
You can tell he's old, can't you, Bishop?
Yeah, at Davey Grant MMA.
Mine's lukepenberthy.sbg on Instagram.
Awesome. Links to those be in the description, and be sure to check out our sponsors, the English Hypnotist, and be sure to any questions you've got, fire over to Fisticuffs _podcast on all streaming platforms. Thank you for your time, boys.